Good morning, happy Tuesday. My name is Anna, but you can call me Anchi, and welcome to the Binge on Self-Love podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about sexiness and feeling sexy. And before you turn off this episode, please let me explain that the reason why I talk about this is because I think that negative body image and experience with disordered eating or eating disorder can also impact our feelings of sexiness, of being sexy, feeling sexy, without us even maybe knowing that. And it's something that I've been thinking about for the past couple of weeks or months, and I thought I would cover it in today's episode. So whether that's something that you would like to learn more about, or whether you're like, what the fuck, this is way too bizarre for me not to listen to it, then keep listening and let's get right into the episode. Hi there, my name is Anna, but you can call me Anchi, and I'm a host of the Binge on Self-Love podcast. If this is your first time listening, welcome and thank you so much for being here. And if you've tuned in before, it's great to have you back. Binge on Self-Love podcast started with me in my bedroom, recording and sharing my journey with binge eating disorder and with procrastination. But we are so much more than our eating disorder, and we are so much more than our problems. So this podcast is essentially about accepting yourself and everything that comes with it. Growth, pain, relationships, boundaries, habits, comparison, body image, confidence, you name it. Plus, you'll catch me having some insightful conversations with fantastic guests who open up and share their stories. So make sure to subscribe to the Binge on Self-Love on your favorite platform and join me every Tuesday for a brand new episode. Binge on Self-Love podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It doesn't provide professional medical advice, and it is not a substitute for diagnosis or treatment. A couple of weeks ago, I've listened to Victoria Brown's Real Pod episode about her experience, how during her eating disorder recovery, she has lost touch with sexiness and how she wasn't really feeling sexy anymore. I will link the episode in the show notes so you can listen to it when you're done with this episode. And also a full credit of bringing awareness to this topic and for inspiring me to do this episode goes to Victoria Brown's Real Pod. So as I was listening to the episode, it made me think about a lot of things. Number one, being someone who struggled with eating disorders for almost 10 years, I found the episode super relatable and the topic of the episode super relatable. Number two, I've realized that I don't feel sexy anymore and I haven't felt sexy in a really long time. And number three, I don't even know what feeling sexy means anymore. And I kind of want to believe that I am not the only person on this planet whose self-perception was messed up by the negative body image, by disordered eating or by an eating disorder, and most importantly, let's be honest, by social media and by the expectations of who and what is sexy and who's not and what's not sexy. You may be asking why feeling sexy is that important to me that I need to do an episode and share it with other people. And to be fair, it hasn't been important for me for a really long time. When I was dealing with binge eating disorder every single day, and when I was hateful towards my body every single day, feeling sexy was the last thing on my mind. During my recovery, I knew there were so many more important things that needed my full attention, and those things were important, so I didn't really care about being sexy. I needed to find peace with both my body and my mind first, and I needed to preferably not feel any kind of way about my body and about myself. It's only now, a couple of years later, when I feel way more comfortable with my body, when I found some sort of balance and peace with food and with exercise, now I finally feel like I have space and mental capacity to start dealing with other smaller things that I've neglected during the years battling with binge eating disorder, if that makes sense. Now, if we go back to the theme of the entire episode, which is feeling sexy, then if you asked me what sexiness means to me, my personal understanding is that it is not just about the physical aspect, although I don't think you can really separate your body from the idea of sexiness either, but that's just my personal view of it. And since my body image has been so negative, then even my self-perception has been negatively impacted. If you asked me a couple of months ago what my perception or what my understanding of feeling sexy or looking sexy was, then I would probably tell you that it's having the Victoria's Secret model-like body, having your hair done and your makeup done, and wearing nice underwear/lingerie. That has been my idea of being sexy since I was like 14 or 15 when I saw the very first Victoria's Secret fashion show. My idea of sexiness has been severely disrupted by social standards and expectations and media creating this unreachable ideal of what being sexy is. Like millions of other people, I've been exposed to the messages of who and what is sexy and what isn't sexy since I was a teenager. All magazines, movies, series, blogs, videos, they all communicated the same message. Sexy means skinny, tanned, big boobs, big butt, hair and makeup done, sexy lingerie, and that's it. And so, like many other people, I've also bought into the idea that there's just one definition of sexy, and that in order to feel sexy and being perceived as sexy, I need to meet all of this criteria, which is impossible. I never even came close to that idea of being sexy. I am 172 centimeters tall, which I believe is like 5'6". I don't have a model-like body at all. And I have zero confidence. I couldn't be further from my definition of being sexy. So what do? Do you tell yourself that the definition of sexiness is bullshit and that your body is good enough the way it is and that you are sexy no matter what? Of course not. Instead, you try every single freaking thing to get closer to that idea in your head. I've tried to lose weight, I've tried all of that makeup, I followed Victoria's Secret inspired workout videos, I even watched videos on how to grow taller, like who does that? I bought sexy lingerie that I never even had courage to wear. I've tried it all, but it didn't help. I still didn't feel sexy at all. It didn't really matter how big or how small I was. I still wasn't feeling good enough. I didn't feel sexy. I wasn't as perfect as the ideal in my mind. I would also like to say that it didn't really matter how much my partner would tell me he found me attractive. He would tell me he finds me sexy. None of it really matters. It was all in my head. If I didn't believe it, then I was not sexy at all. And it all got worse with the onset of binge eating disorder because it completely ruined any confidence that I had left in me, and it made me hate my body in a way that I never thought was even possible. All I was feeling during those years with binge eating disorder was shame and guilt, and like I have no control over myself. So as you can imagine, that's not a really healthy mindset and healthy place for building any kind of confidence in yourself. And as the binge eating disorder was progressing, I continued to hide my body more and more. All I would wear would be leggings, sweatpants, sweatshirts, and I would completely avoid wearing anything that could draw any kind of attention to my body, let alone to my curves. And whenever my partner would say anything nice about my body or myself, I wouldn't believe it. All I could think of was, how could my stomach rolls possibly be sexy? How could my jiggling thighs with cellulite all over them be sexy? How could my fine, volumeless, damaged hair be sexy? How could I ever potentially be sexy? Luckily, a lot of these negative beliefs I had about myself and about my body were challenged during my eating disorder recovery, and a lot of them no longer affect me. But the hardest part for me, for sure, was to challenge the idea of what I think is sexy, which is the Victoria's Secret-like body ideal that I've described earlier. It's something I've been exposed for so long, so many years, and when you've been exposed to it for so long, it is hard to accept that you can feel and be sexy even if you do not look like that, and even if you are not perfect. For the longest time, I believed that if I don't look like that ideal person that I've created in my head, then I don't deserve to feel sexy. I believed that my partner wouldn't find me attractive, and I believed that I don't deserve to wear nice clothes because who the hell am I to wear something sexy, you know? So to sum up this part, I've never been super confident person. I've created an ideal of what I need to look like and be like to be considered sexy in my mind, but that was impossible to reach. And with the onset of binge eating disorder, I've lost any kind of belief that I could ever feel sexy again. But the truth is, ever since I've listened to the Real Pod episode, it really made me think that, yeah, that's true. I've been feeling like that forever, and I don't want to feel like that anymore. I want to feel confident in my body. I want to allow myself to express myself in any kind of way I want. I want to allow myself to feel sexy even if I don't fit into any stereotypical ideal of sexiness. And I want to believe that anyone can feel sexy. It's just all about the mindset. But as you know, these things are great in theory, but how the heck do you quote-unquote force yourself to feel sexy when you don't think you're sexy, right? Well, here's my theory. In order to find that quote-unquote sexy part of me, if there's any, I need to redefine what sexiness really means to me. What does it mean to feel sexy? Because there's not a single definition that's valid for everybody and that's valid forever. Feeling sexy can't mean the same thing to me now when I'm almost 30 like it did when I was 18 or 19, you know? I need to redefine sexiness to fit my current life and reflect the values that I've built over the years. It needs to reflect what I've been through, what my body has been through, and it can't affect my body image in any negative way. I don't want sexiness to be based on how flat my stomach is. I don't want to have to allow myself to be sexy or feel sexy only when I meet certain criteria. I don't want to feel sexy only if someone tells me that I'm sexy. I don't want to focus on how my body looks and worry about my husband noticing that my stomach rolls. I want to shift my focus from the physical more to my mindset in a sense that I can feel sexy regardless of what size I am. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether I wear the sexiest lingerie in the world or the ugliest tracksuit ever if I don't believe I can be sexy. I want to work on my confidence because it's been non-existent for way too long, and I want to be even more accepting of my body because that's the only body I'll have for the rest of my life. I tend to hide my body, I tend to hide my curves because that's something I don't see in myself as something sexy, if that makes sense. You know, if my perception of feeling sexy would continue to be lean and tall and wearing sexy underwear, then I'm never gonna feel sexy again. But if I redefine what sexiness really is to me to something that reflects, like I've said, what I've been through and what my values are, then maybe I have a solid chance to feel sexy again. Of course, I don't think that feeling sexy is the most essential thing in life. Of course it's not. But for me, it is a part of the process of kind of reclaiming myself from the eating disorder and from the society standards. And it's about rediscovering and building a healthy relationship with both my body and my sexuality, for that matter. I'm sure there are going to be so many moments in my life when I'll put on some sexy outfit and 5 minutes later I'll be like, what the heck am I doing? This is not for me. I don't dress like that. Who the hell I think I am? But hopefully there will also be moments when I feel really good about myself and when I will not feel like I need to hide my body and my curves and dim the light just because I feel like I should be ashamed of not looking perfect, if that makes sense. I'm gonna wrap up the episode here. Let me know, what are your thoughts? Is it something that you also struggle with, or is it just me? And also let me know, what is your definition of being sexy and feeling sexy, and what does it mean to you? You can DM me on Instagram at bingeonselflove, or you can send me an email at anci@bingeonselflove.com. Thank you so much for listening today. I'll be back next week with another episode. Until then, take care and talk to you soon.